a large number of bosses, a large number of people in situations in places of control have no idea what they're doing. Most people in government are narcissists. You know, your health minister doesn't really understand very much about health. You know, the education minister just destroys the education. The minister for the environment probably has a very not eco-friendly lifestyle, etc. So, so that's one example. Some people are in business to help people. Some people are in business to make money. Some people are in business for power. It's different for different people, but it's the power element that is the problem. And eventually, when a company fails or a business fails, it's usually because one of the key people in the situation is a narcissist, and they can't change their direction to solve the problem. There will be a problem, and they will refuse to acknowledge the problem or deal with the problem, or even step to one side and let somebody else solve the problem. They have to be in control of it. So, narcissistic bosses are, number one, insensitive to employees, meaning that they don't understand the feelings and needs of the people that work in the environment around about them. They also very often have favorites. The people they like and people they don't like. And it's very often not logical. And it's a dangerous game to play, because the point of the boss is to be sort of neutral towards the like and dislike elements. So a narcissistic manager will also very often get other people to do their work for them. The employee will often find themselves saving the life of the boss in this kind of situation, because the boss will continue to make mistakes. A narcissistic boss uses you, the employee, as an extension of his or her selfish agenda. The boss uses the employees to get to where the boss wants to go, not where the company needs to go. And knowing and understanding the direction of things is very important. Like, is this the goal of the company, or is this the goal of the person? And understanding when they're in conflict with each other is really important. You know, a rather obvious sign of a narcissist is somebody who uses their status, their position within an organization or a company all the time, or to get some level of benefits. I think I mentioned in our last conversation that it's interesting how, if you have a shop, everybody who comes into your shop is a customer. It doesn't matter how old they are. It doesn't matter what gender they are. It doesn't matter where they're from. It doesn't really matter who they work for. Or it shouldn't matter. Because everyone should have that equal right as a customer. Where are we getting this essential and non-essential business, essential and non-essential travel? I mean, that's the root of narcissism. Yeah, of this belief that one group of people are more important than other groups of people. The fact that certain shops in Britain open special hours for certain key workers is just another crazy example. Narcissists are also people who like to be in the spotlight. They like to be seen. They like to hear themselves talk. They always need to be the center of things. And this relates to our situation right now. They can't ever be outside of what's going on. They can't ever be outside of the circle, outside. They have to have their hands touching everything. And that's not healthy within a big organization, because you can't possibly know everything that's going on. Narcissists will very often have extra, unnecessary, unimportant conversations, thinking that these conversations are really essential, but they're absolutely pointless. Narcissists very often will not give credits to other people. They don't praise people in a real sense of praise. Narcissists will take or steal credit from other people. They will say that other people's work is their own work. Classic example: employee presents idea to manager, manager presents idea as his own idea.
Yes.
When it's really not. Classic example. Narcissistic managers will break rules. They'll break ethical norms. Everything that is considered as normal is, in the mind of a narcissistic manager, not important. Because the most important thing to them is them. Not the rules, not the company. The most important thing to them is them. They always feel like they have to be checking on everybody, because maybe somebody somewhere is going to get some kind of advantage over them. If you're confident in yourself, you never have to really look over your shoulder.
Yep.
And so narcissists will always be over interested in the relevant and irrelevant activities of others. They are, of course, sensitive to criticism. I mentioned that before. They'll always blame other people. And this, I've looked a lot into the subject of negative feedback, because I mentioned that I am sometimes guilty of not taking criticism constructively. I also have realized that it takes time to understand what another person is saying. So for me personally, what helped me with my narcissism was not responding now. And by now, I mean not responding today. Taking time and care over my responses to people and situations, which is hard because life requires us sometimes to react very quickly. And we're sort of pushed in modern society to focus on narcissistic elements of our own personality, whether it's making YouTube videos or there's a lot of success is dependent upon the self, but we have to be careful that we don't make ourselves the center of absolutely everything. So the narcissist can't control their responses to criticism. They get angry very quickly, or they act like, oh, it doesn't matter, when really it does to them. And that's dangerous, because that's not being honest about your responses. They're also full of excuses, right? a lot of the time there's no reason for something not to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why have I not done that? Well, I haven't done that because I haven't done that. You know, it's not because of the weather. It's not because of John. It's not because of, you know, it's important to take that personal responsibility. And narcissists will always say that it's not me, it's not my fault. When the only way forward is to take more responsibility, right? And to say that I think a good boss is the kind of boss that honestly says every employee's mistake is my mistake. Now, I don't want to control what every employee does. I want every employee to do a good job, but they have to take that understanding that when the player in the team makes a mistake, the manager can lose their job.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen. It can happen. They have, because it's the manager that has that responsibility. So narcissists always feel that they are superior to others. They feel that they are on a higher level. The only way to really communicate effectively with other people is to communicate on the same level. It's the only way to connect with people. It's absolutely the only way to connect with people. And it's a skill that we have to work on. I've worked with people all across society, from homeless people to directors of companies worth millions. And the nicest people you can meet are the people you can talk to normally about normal things. And to do that, position has to not be important. You know, you can't have honest, useful, practical, trustworthy communication if you're not on the same level, if you're using it's this idea that authority is the reason, which is actually that's the root of all things that are evil. What is the reason for this? Authority is the reason for this. What is the reason for this rule? The rule is the reason for the rule. The authority is the reason for the rule. The judge is the reason for the rule. The court is the reason for the rule. The government is the reason for the rule. That it's all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's all wrong. That it leads to a very bad place when you don't have logic there, and practical, sensible ideas in place. Just look at the world situation right now. The narcissist will always focus on other people's emotional state and seek to control it. It's not wrong to recognize other people's emotions, but it is wrong to try to control it and to focus on it when, you know, if somebody is not happy, you know, it's important to recognize they're not happy, but it's not a time to play games with people's emotions or feelings. If there is one thing that I teach my daughters, and only one thing that is very important, for my daughters to have a happy life, they must understand one thing and one thing only: how to recognize a narcissist. Because if you can't recognize the narcissist and alienate the narcissist, you will be unhappy.
Mm.
And that's on a personal level. Now, if you've got a company, it's very similar.
Mm.
Because the narcissist in the wrong position will just make everybody around them unhappy or frustrated, or you will get a reaction of emotions that are really not important, because the emotions then take energy away from the work. Companies where people are unhappy don't do very well.
Mm.
It makes sense, right? Companies where people are unhappy, the employees don't stay, they don't communicate well, people don't want to work with them because people don't want to work with unhappy people.
Mm.
So there tends to be a toxic environment
Mm.
because of this. So as I said with my daughters, the most important thing is to be able to recognize a narcissist, somebody who doesn't have your best interests at heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Girl falls in love with guy. Why? Because the guy says, "You're beautiful, I love you." He drives a nice car.
Mm.
He has a well-paid job.
Yeah.
He has some financial security. It's probably a narcissist. Now, love happens and people can be nice people. Fair enough. Maybe he's being honest. But you've got to see beyond the mask that everybody wears, to the extent that if you are poor and unhappy, money will not solve your problem.
Mm.
Because money will make you rich, but it won't make you happy. Because they're different things. Right? They're different things. Can money help? Yes, money can
Mm-hmm.
give you a house and a car and security and healthcare and a holiday, and you can buy, I don't know, you get food and nice clothes and all the good things as well. But it's not a guarantee of happiness. It's not in any way in fact, it could make you happy, but it could also make you unhappy. You have to understand that. To find, and so in the sense when I'm talking about my daughters in terms of the future, you have to think about it like this. Imagine the worst thing in the world happens to your partner, which could be they're in a terrible accident, or they lose everything they have, or I don't know, maybe they got some horrible brain disease that makes them forget everything. I don't know. You have to ask yourself, will I still want to be with them forever?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is yes, then there's a high probability of success. But you've got to be able to strip away the products and everything, which is difficult because everybody likes to look nice. Everybody likes to present themselves well. But there's a deeper level that narcissists will play on, where they'll be able to project a mask and use everything. And I've seen this in previous clients of mine where, it's like, why Why did you do this? Because this person said this. Anybody can say anything. Doesn't make it real. Doesn't make it true. The only thing that matters is the act, the action. My next book, The Language of Deceit, says it in the title, The Language of Deceit. Deceit means to tell lies. So the title is basically The Language of Lies. And it is a series of studies about how what we think is good is bad. And it hopefully shows people how we are very easily tricked by believing that other people want to do good things because we want to do good things. It's the oldest trick. The oldest trick in the world is thinking that I'm good, so everybody's good. I'm honest, so everybody's honest. I'm honest down deep inside. I know somewhere down deep inside I'm honest, so there must be, complete honesty within everybody else. Well, the reason why the world is in a mess is because people are not honest. They're not honest about the problems and the numbers and the practicality of things. They play word games. They play word games. Coronavirus is not a disease. It's an infection. It's a game. It's a game. It's not a disease. A disease will not leave. An infection comes and goes. Coronavirus is an infection. It can be treated. It's not a disease. But every article and every piece of media will promote this idea that there's a disease. There's not. There's an infection. It's a word game. It's one word. Switch one word for another word, and the whole world turns upside down. So narcissists are toxic people. Toxic people create toxic environments. When the environment is bad, it's hard to make progress. Question, what do you do? Answer, understand some basic things. The source of the problem is usually in people. That's the first point. The source of the problem is usually in people. Why does the problem exist? The problem exists because of a person or people connected with that idea. Yeah. And everybody makes mistakes every day. So it's important to understand that. Yet in the mind of the narcissist doesn't make mistakes. And so there's a huge potential problem. I often think about it as how much are you willing to give up to make things work? Right? The narcissist won't give, and by give up I mean stop or give from yourself to make things work. The narcissist is not going to give anything from themselves. They're just going to pull things from other people and use those.